the major focus of this session tonight has been STEM, the demand for STEM employees, what you need to know in order to get a job in STEM, and what you need to do. So the last question I have for every member of the panel is, what do companies look for in recent graduates when hiring, or what do you think is the most important thing students should have when entering the workforce? And I'm going to start with Charlie on this one. When you're hiring at Protected Trust, what are you looking for?
Sure. So let me just tell you, as someone who's recruited a lot of students and worked with a lot of other recruiters, that every recruiter's answer to that question will be different. For me, what I look for is balance, right? I look for someone who is both technically competent and a good communicator, who can work in a team. And I think the most consistent answer that you'll get across recruiters is that you're looking for people who can work effectively in a team to accomplish a like goal.
That's great. Thank you, Charlie. Colin, I know you're still a student, but what do you think is going to be the most important thing for you as you're entering the workforce?
Well, based on what we've been doing in school and based on what you just said, I would also say teams and team communication and working in a team. In every single one of my classes this semester currently, before the end of the semester is done, I will have probably been in 3 or 4 large-scale group projects in each class. And that's by design, because there's a lot of lone wolves in this school. There's a lot of people who are so super smart that they can do these things by themselves. They don't need other people to do them with. But if you get to the workplace, you're not going to be able to do that. You have to be able to work in a team. So I'm just going to reiterate what he said, and I think being able to work in a team effectively, being able to communicate between your disciplines, for example, from logistics to engineering, from engineering mechanically to electrically to systems, you have to be able to communicate in a team environment.
Crystal?
Yes.
So, and I think maybe the people watching who are prospective students, right, need to understand maybe they haven't done that wherever they went to high school. Certainly we didn't do that where I went to high school in mid-central Indiana, but you'll learn to do that in college. So don't be off-put. If you don't have that skill right now, that is something you'll learn. Florida Poly will prepare you for that.
I think that's a great note, and I think Colin would attest to that too, with all of the experience that you're getting through multiple teams. Fantastic. Dr. Avent, what would you add? What's the most important thing when you're entering the workforce?
Well, actually, it's interesting that you asked this. There was an article that just came out that had the top 10 things that industry looks for when they hire someone. I want to say it was an economist article, but I'm not sure exactly. And certainly some of the things that has already been talked about were in there. The ability to integrate disciplines, the ability to work together as a team. One of the ones that was really very high was the ability to communicate, and that's something that, you know, as engineers we have to work on all the time. But the number one was the ability to solve problems, to use critical thinking skills to solve problems. You know, around here we kind of have a joke called the Anna Tumor joke, and I made the comment here that when I was at MIT, I only ever asked one technical question of potential students that were coming, which is that in their hometown, how many piano tutors were there? And I usually got 3 types of answers. One answer was, I don't know, and I never hired them. One answer was, I'm not sure, maybe 2 to 3, and I never hired them. But every once in a while, you had a student that said, you know, I'm not really sure, but there's about 40,000 people in my hometown. And let's just say the average family has 4 people in it, so that's 10,000 families. And let's say on average, about 20% of those 10,000 families have a piano. That's 2,000 pianos, and they would go down a train of thought and come up with an answer. And that's what employers are looking for. They're looking for people that can solve problems that they can't just go to a textbook and get out of a textbook. And that's really what we're focusing on teaching students here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Rachel, what do you think is the most important thing as you enter the workforce?
Well, I'm actually going to have to echo Dr. Avent a little bit there, because in my general experience while I'm out, I have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people that work in the industry, a lot of business people who are just interested about Florida Poly and want to know a little more about us. And one of the things that gets them the most excited is, you know, I tell them about the kind of things the students are working on, the things that they're doing. And when they hear about the kind of projects, that it's not just that they're getting hands-on experience learning all these different aspects of the STEM fields that they're going into. It's that they're really working on fixing those problems, or how to, really apply the things that they're learning. They're more excited about that, because when they're coming out, they know that they're going to be the kind of workers and thinkers that are really going to look at problems in a new way. So that's what really gets most of the people that I talk to excited.
Thanks, Rachel. And Susan, what would you add?
I should say that everything everyone has said I agree with fully. To add something new, pay attention to how you present yourself on the internet. Google yourself, see what comes up. Make sure you pay attention to your Facebook page, your Instagram. Employers are going to look and see what person they're hiring. So make sure you put your best foot forward. And if you don't think an employer would want to see something on one of those sites, or your parents, take it down.
That is such great advice, Susan. And so I've been making some notes. To summarize, it sounds like our panel would advise the ability to work in a team, the ability to solve problems creatively, the ability to communicate, and just professionalism.